Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Jalopy Shop. Today we're going to split this episode into a couple of pieces. I've only got a little bit of time in the next couple of days to work on stuff, so I wanted to show you kind of where I'm at and give us a starting point for today's episode. I went through and cut out the extra pieces of seat rail from the tops of the driver's side. You'll remember in the last episode we had to patch this little hole here instead of moving on to making seat bases. So we have removed the tops of the seat rails just like we did on the passenger side. And for those of you that are keen observers, you're going to remember these templates that we did for the driver's side. So what I did is I flipped them over because ideally we have an asymmetrical seat pan here, one side mirroring the other, which isn't exactly the case, but it's really close. We took the templates from that side and basically folded them the opposite way and are using them as templates for the driver's side. The only difference was there's a little bit of shape difference right here in the floor pan. I'm not sure why, but so I just made another different little piece of cardboard to fill here. We're going to try to make this piece as one continuous piece to go between the two, and then the legs will be each their own individual piece, hopefully saving a little bit of time on bending and welding. On the driver's side, we were able to fill in, and they're just kind of sitting in there real loose, but you can see we were able to make that piece here that's going to connect the front to the back mounting point, and over there we're going to have a piece that's going to connect the front to the rear mounting point, so we have a real stiff platform for that seat to go to. We have everything we need done here, so we're going to take these templates out and go over and trace them out onto the sheet metal, and then tomorrow we'll go through and cut them out, bend them up, and fit them into the car. So we'll just trace these out onto our sheet metal and then cut them out. Simple as that. Just so you remember, this is just the opposite side of what we were working with before, so we're just working with a mirror image for the driver's side. So here I used the straight edge of the metal as my straight edge here and here. So I had two straight edges already to work with. Makes sense to use them. Okay, our compressor is filled up, so now we can get to cutting out this metal. I'm going to use my new shears that I got. This is a really cool tool. Basically it cuts a line. You can see, I don't know if you can see it here, but it's about a 1/4 inch wide. Cuts a little line out, makes a real nice sharp cut. So cut these pieces out. Well, that made that an easier decision to cut out for the day. The tool that I was using, one of the little tongs inside of the tool broke off. So I won't be able to make any more progress on this today. But as you can see if I can give you guys a good view of that. You can see how easy that cuts, and it just curly cues that thing up like a little pigtail or whatever, spring. But you can't do any real fine cutting with it, but you can definitely get your rough shape out of there. I was able to cut this curve pretty easily. I'll still need to go back and trim out a bunch of stuff with either the snips or a wheel or a jigsaw or whatever tool I'm going to use to make the fine cuts. But it makes the big ones go really quick. So that'll be all I do today. I'm going to go return my broken tool and do some work. We swapped out our broken tool for one that is new and hopefully won't give us any more trouble. So let's get these pieces cut out and we'll get them bent up. Pieces are cut out. I'm back over at the sheet metal brake, and I brought my templates with me so that I can remember which way I'm going to bend them. Sometimes it helps to have a visual. So get to bending. This one here should be pretty straightforward since we know that it's going to bend right at the wings. We still need to make sure that we get it to match though. Go put them in the car and see how well they fit. Back in the car, this one we've made sure that I had to trim it a little bit on this end. I got it just a little bit on the long side, but we are looking for 23 3/4 or 60 centimeters from the back of the seat pan here, and we've got that. We're looking right on all the way across, which matches our driver's side. So we're going to grab our marker. I'm going to mark the floor pan here. I see a little spot here that I need to trim just to make this drop down into place, but I'll do that in a couple of minutes. This was one of the things that I forgot to do on the driver's side, was to make a mark and line it up. That's why it took me a long time to get the fore and aft on the seat, and why it was rocking a little bit side to side. So our other piece here, these all look like they fit pretty well. We got to do some some trimming here and there. I'm going to do that, and then we're going to repeat the process of drilling the holes, putting on the nuts on the bottom side, priming, getting them tacked into the car. Not a big enough hammer. That's all the time we have for today, but as you can see, we are at a point where we can start. I think what we're going to do is we're going to mimic the distance on our holes for our seat. We already know that that side will bolt in, so we just need to mimic on this side the distances between the holes on that side, and I think we'll be good to go. Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to get back to work on getting this driver's seat. I pulled down the driver's seat, and we're going to get this hopefully mounted in the vehicle today. So we are going to use one of our very old, most hated friends in fabrication to attempt to get this to line up exactly where we want it. And our old hated friend in fabrication is math. Yes, we're going to use math to try to get this seat positioned exactly where we want it. We already know where the steering wheel is in the car. It's already located. We don't have to, there's no magic formula or repositioning we're going to do on the pedal box or the steering wheel. So all that's already taken care of. It's going to be fairly simple to get a center line off the seat, because let's face it, I'm not going to, well, I could if I was going to, I don't know, break my spine and lean to the left or something, or the right, and sit to one side or the other of the car. For all practical purposes, my head's going to be in the center of the seat, my butt's going to be in the center of the seat, and I want the steering wheel directly in front of me, I want the pedals directly in front of me. So we're just going to use math to make that happen. So let's get to work. The real treat in this whole scenario is that I worked last night and got about 4 hours of sleep. So this should be really interesting, having me to try to do math on a real, in a pretty weakened state right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take a center-to-center measurement of our front mounting points. And that 18.5 inches. And for all you Europeans, that is 47C right on the dot, 47 centimeters. And I'm saving that because it may be easier to deal with centimeters here in a few minutes. Now we need to tip this seat up, and we need to get an idea of where center is in relation to the center point on these seats. So center point on 18.5 is 9.25, which I can handle right now. So we're just going to put a mark on here, figure out where 9.25 is. And then we're just going to mark it with a piece of blue tape. And then we're going to take our level. We're going to put a piece of blue tape on the front of the seat here so that we know, without having to flip the seat back up and down all the time. We can figure out where the center of the rails is. One of the cool things about this driver's seat, now that I kind of taped over it, is it has this little storage drawer that slides out. There's not much storage in one of these cars. You have a little tiny glove box. In fact, this is probably at least the size of the glove box in this car. So just another little piece of storage that we can use in the car. And it came with the seat. We've got the way we've designed our cross member. It just clears it across the front of the storage drawer, so we'll keep it on there. It'll be handy. We're looking at our center of our rails being this side. So we got a mark here, lines up on this side of the seat. And if we take a measurement, we're pretty confident that they didn't build this seat off center. You can see this foam bolster is a little compressed. So we can't use the bolster as a reference. So we're going to use the cushion itself. So we're just going to measure across the cushion here. And that is coming up at where I'm measuring, right on this stitch. Maybe I'll use this one. So we're looking at 13.5 inches on this second stitch back right here. So we're going to grab another piece of tape. I'm just going to put it on here kind of loosely where, kind of spanning. It doesn't stick very well to this cloth, but for practical purposes. So we're making a note, cushion, 13.5 inches, and let's see, that's going to be 343 millimeters, or 34.3 cm. So in this instance, it'll be a little bit easier to use SAE measurement. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is locate our front mounting points in relation to the cross member. And in looking at what we've done on the passenger side, we can say that pretty safe bet we are right about a ½ inch behind the actual front cross member for locating our seat. So if we start at that point, going to be right into these pieces here. The real question will be, once we make our little marks here, if we have enough width side to side on these pieces to actually center it under the center of the steering wheel. we're just going to make another mark, just a hash mark, 1/2 inch back. Now we need to get a mark from the center of our steering wheel onto this cross member so that we can locate center line here. We're going to use a plumb bob, which I used to have a really fancy one. I can't find it right now. So we're just going to use a plumb bob off of the steering wheel here. Got the steering wheel reasonably straight. Actually look right through the center of the hub. Let that hang down there. Let it stop dancing around here as much as we can. Of course, every time I bump it, it just wants to move more. So we're going to say, I'm marking it on where the string is, just kind of keeping it loose. So this right here will be body center. So I put BC. Now we have our center line of our body. And we can make a use a square so we get a nice definitively straight line there. Now we can look at our measurements, and we need to go 4.5 centimeters this side of it for our center line. So that'll be real easy to do. Now we know our rails need to be 18 inches apart, or correction, 18.5 inches apart is the span between the center points on the front mounting holes. So we can measure from let's see here. This is what your computer feels like when it's running really slow.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
And this is why we plan it out before we actually start cutting. So the seat center is different than the rail center. We want the seat center to be the same as the body center. So I'm going to make that plus seat center. I'm going to put an X through that because we're not going to use that. The center point for the rails will be center point for the rails needs to go 4.5 centimeters this way. Because remember, we took our notes. The center of the seat was 4.5 centimeters towards the inside of the vehicle. So now, this is our center point for the rails. So this is going to be rail center. So if everything's correct now, this should be the center point for our rails. So we're going to measure off of here in both directions 9.25 inches to get our center point for where these holes are going to be drilled into these side panels. So if we go 9 1/4 in that direction, nine and a quarter that direction, that is presenting a little bit of a problem because we are to center up over the steering wheel. Look at that, we are right on the very edge. So that is going to make things a little more difficult on the driver's side because we will have to put the center of the bolt right there, and to get that 1 inch of clearance, we're going to have to go 1 inch this way into the body, which is exactly what we did on the passenger side. So if we go 1 inch into the body for the whole length of the seat, that's going to be a pretty significant chunk of metal we're going to cut out again on this side. But that's okay. We kind of expected this was going to happen, but I wanted to confirm through measuring that that was what needed to happen to get that seat to be centered up under the steering wheel, so that you're not sitting all like off to one side. And in this car, it would have been, if I pushed it that way, I'd have been sitting like this with my, wouldn't have been this extreme, but it would have been definitely pushed over to this side. So I think first thing to do is to get out the cutters, make our clearance. We're definitely going to have to modify this piece here. Over here, I think we're pretty good. We're going to be right about in this location for our hole, which is fine. That is definitely right in the neighborhood of where I was expecting it to be. We'll have plenty of clearance for the seat on this side. I've got at least 2 inches. You know, the seat kind of flares out, so at the top here I've got much more room. I'm not concerned at all about clearances on this side, but this one is the one that is going to be, you know, repeating the process that we did on that side to make it fit where we want it to be. Once we get the front ones located, then we can do a straight edge off of here. We'll do a straight line. We'll figure out center of the back here. We'll bring the center line. We'll take the same measurements off the seat, front and back, and transcribe it into the rails. You know, I assume that we're going to be, right up on the edge here again. So what we may have to do is reinforce this into the inner rocker a little bit, and extend this piece to give us a surface to mount our attachment bolts to. So there we go. We've used math on minimal sleep and come up with a successful result. All right, everyone. I think I'm gonna call this a successful, productive day. Running on about 4 hours of sleep, so I'm gonna take it easy tonight. Just kind of hang out, spend some time with the wife and the dog, get some dinner, put my feet up, and see if we can make a little more progress on this weekend. Until then, we're making good progress. I know that it seems like there's a lot of video and a lot of not a lot of video magic happening, on this project. We're some of the web shows that we have online are they will gloss over the hard work to make everything look real good in the end. in favor of keeping you guys interested. Hopefully seeing this process and seeing, you know, what a guy like me does, you know, at home to make these kind of things happen keeps you guys interested, and you keep watching the videos. I'm really glad to be able to try out documenting what I'm doing in a new way. So if you like what's going on here, subscribe to the videos, and we'll keep them coming. All right, have a good night.